pleasant good night once again to all my fans and my well-wishers, those who are listening for the first time. I'm back again, back in the game, and my game is the knowledge sharing game of your favorite knowledge channel. Brian Lal's game was cricket, Stephen Curry's game is basketball, Tiger Woods' game is golf, and my game is sharing, meeting, exchanging, promoting knowledge, sharing knowledge, getting your feedback. So I'm indeed happy to be back in the game for this week's episode. So welcome one and all to your favorite knowledge channel. And this week we're going to ask ourselves the fundamental question: what does life mean to you? And before we get into the presentation, as usual, we'll share a word and we'll tell you about the services that we offer. So the late, great, legendary, and revolutionary Robert Nesta Marley said in song, "Baby, don't worry about a thing, because everything gonna be alright." So depending on the context in which you're using that statement, it can be motivational, or it may lead to a lot of questions being asked, because so many people are placed in a situation today where so many things are not all right and they are not seeing hope on the horizon. And nonetheless, as I've said many times, once you're alive, there's an opportunity for progress. But the true word, the true motivational word that I really like to leave with you is that they must do something for something to happen. I repeat, do something for something to happen. Where you would like to reach, it cannot just be a dream. Action must fuel that dream. So I repeat, do something for something to happen. And do not only make what you want to do a dream, but let action fuel that dream. So I encourage you to reflect on those words, consider them deeply, and put a plan in place and act decisively to bring forth the glory that you are so truly deserving of. So that's the word for today. And I would just like to remind you, as I mentioned last week, in 2022, I will be, along with some assistance from fellow professionals, some of my students, will be embarking on 2 studies, as I mentioned in the presentation last week. One of the studies will be the psychological impact of the closure of the petroleum refinery on the workers who were laid off, and the other one will be dealing with the economic impact on those workers who were laid off. So that will be 2 major studies that certainly are worthwhile to engage ourselves in. And I'd also like to encourage you to keep on supporting this channel and the work we are doing. And in both fronts, in terms of executing the research project and in making the channel one of the most formidable on the globe, we ask you to feel free to make financial contribution via the YPay link on the description page. So whatever you can afford, it will be welcome and appreciated in support of the work that we are doing and that you certainly are a part of. So feel free and contribute to the best of your ability via the link, and we will certainly appreciate the support. We also remind you that we conduct workshops along a range of areas, public speaking, emotional intelligence, leadership, the role of psychology in business, entrepreneurship, communication skills, among many other topics. We also, I as your life coach and psychologist, is available to help you become a better you, helping you to identify challenges, clarify them, and together creating a framework for your growth and development. So I am committed through my organization to provide those services on your behalf. Feel free at any time to give us a call at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or email us at leadership leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. So we await your calls, we await your emails, and we are ready to serve. So having done the motivational word, having reminded you of the work that we are continuing to engage ourselves in, I will now go into tonight's presentation. And I ask you the question, what does life mean to you? So there are close to 8 billion persons on the globe. There are people of diverse origins, nationalities, ideologies, and philosophies. All right? And a philosophy is basically a set of beliefs. And if you are in life, you should have some kind of guided philosophy to guide why you exist. So that question of what does life mean to you, it's a fundamental question. And all of us who are alive, we were born at one point in time, and we will die at some point in time. Now, between our existence and when we perish, the question is, what are you doing in the meantime, between time? Will you merely exist and then perish? Well, I doubt that was a master's plan. I doubt that should even be your own plan, right? So we need to seriously consider, what we would like to get out of this thing called life. There are a number of basic things that we all will be engaged in, for example, eating. But at the same time, when I say eating, there are close to 1 billion people in the world who go without food. So even eating, which is supposed to be a fundamental physiological need, millions and close to 1 billion persons on the globe certainly find it very difficult to eat nutritious meals or to eat at all. So is it just eating? Is it just sleeping? Is it just being awake? Whilst you're awake, exactly what you're going to be doing? Is it about pursuing professional pursuits, whether it's academic, business, or otherwise? What exactly it is? But the key thing is that how we came into the world, before we exit the world, we must ensure that we have grown. We must ensure that we have contributed. And from my own philosophical position, we must ensure that we have service to our fellow men. Because when we think about life, we live in a world that is highly materialistic, and it is not to say that material things are not important. But when I ask you what does life mean to you, is it just a question of fancy clothes, fancy shoes, jewelry, cars, houses, financial resources? Mind you, there's absolutely nothing wrong about having these things. But are these things the ultimate essence of your existence? Are you an economic being, or are you a human being, or are you totally consumed with materialism? Now, life without these things can be miserable, but then we all know that there should be a deeper meaning to life. So why those things are important facilitators whilst we exist, I am postulating that it shouldn't be the ultimate drivers. We have heard the stories over and over of people making millions, making billions, and they feel a deep sense of emptiness within themselves. I remember the story well when the late Steve Jobs passed, and there was a report that on his dying bed, he was contemplating on what life really means. And he uttered words to the effect that, what is really important is not just money. And I mean, money was a joke to him. He had it in quantities that perhaps he didn't even need. But the point I'm saying, he recognized there and then, sadly so, that, sharing with a friend, a nice meal, making a joke, interacting, enjoying people's company, he recognized there and then that those things perhaps are more important than all of the other things that sometimes so many of us in life are caught up in from a material point of view. Because at the end of the day, the moments, people remember moments more than anything else. more than anything else, Moments, memorable moments, moments of triumph. These are the things that give life a certain power. And the basic things that sometimes we may underestimate. I mean, in the context of Trinidad and Tobago, when we talk about a lime, a lime has so many benefits. It's not just a question of people gathering and probably, having alcoholic beverages in the mix, or a good meal. But we all know that the value of a lime, and people interacting is so valuable for both physical and mental health, and the research has so profoundly supported. So this concept of a lime in the context of Trinidad and the Caribbean is something that we should really value. Well, obviously, as a result of COVID-19, we have to reimagine the lime. And I mean, many people have been liming virtually, and the recent phenomenon of the safe zone, I don't know how successful it has been to date, but we are very much restricted in a lot of ways. But those fundamentals are things that we must never lose sight of. All right. Of course, people must be employed where they can take care of their needs, because as I mentioned before, people need to eat, people need to be clothed, they need to be housed. I mean, when we look at Maslow's hierarchy of needs as a guide, it's a good guide in terms of the satisfaction of basic human needs. At the bottom of the pyramid, we have our physiological needs, food, water. Then we have our safety needs, the need for shelter, stable employment, right? We have belonging needs, the need to belong to a family, to a community, to feel that they belong to something. Of course, all human beings like to feel a sense of appreciation and respect. So we talk about esteem needs at the next level. And of course, if your life have that deeper meaning that I have been alluding to, the question of self-actualizing. And when you are self-actualizing, of course, you will feel satisfied with your growth and development. You will be playing an active role in preparing the next generation in terms of continuing something positive in the interests of growing humanity. So life has meaning in those basic ways, both at the physical and the psychological level. But I'm saying to you that it's a question that every one of us must examine in a very deep way and work out that philosophy to guide what we do on a daily basis. So if I ask the question, are you aware of what your philosophy of life is? And even though you are not aware, that philosophy can be discerned through your action or non-actions, right? So at the end of the day, a clearly defined philosophy is important, right? Because every moment is an opportunity for growth and development, And different persons have different philosophies, as I said, defined or undefined, expressed or not expressed. And, at the end of the day, those things guide such individuals. Some people are fascinated with video games, and they spend a lot of time involving themselves in that. Some people are addicted to social media. They spend hours upon hours on social media. Some people constantly sending messages through the day along the various forms of social media. So ask yourself that question, come with a proper answer, and ask yourself if humanity and yourself is better off from how you live your life, right? As I said, life is certainly much more and much deeper than just eating, sleeping, waking, wondering, and pondering. Because, given the different philosophies, given the different approaches to life, given the different circumstances with which people are confronted with, socially, economically, politically, psychologically, and otherwise, life has a different meaning, all right? The person who cannot get a meal, life certainly wouldn't be exciting, right? The millions who are now unemployed, the millions who were unemployed before the pandemic, the millions more who are now unemployed, life certainly wouldn't be exciting to them, So the basic needs, very critical to be satisfied, and the psychological needs, because we need to support, we need encouragement, we need to feel appreciated. All of those things are important, and we need to work on a package. We need to help each other find themselves, because so many people need that kind of support. All right, we know the whole effects of the pandemic on the mental health of so many people. All right, both the young and old. Right, and life, a person who is depressed, life certainly is not an exciting affair, but they are part of life, they are part of humanity, and the professionals who can help certainly should help. Those of us who are aware of their circumstances also must help, because everyone is deserving of a chance to make their best contribution. So we need to pull up others, we need to pull up ourselves, we need to become very clear on what our philosophical position in life is. We need to define it. We need to put a plan of action in place so that we can get the very best out of life. All right? We need to constantly grow, because anytime we stop growing, certainly our eyes might be open, but actually we have started dying. So continue pushing forward, continue looking for opportunities, continue strengthening yourself through networks, continue growing yourself through reading, continue growing yourself through healthy conversation, continue growing yourself by growing food. All right, because as we all know the situation in the world today, the situation in Trinidad and Tobago and the Caribbean, we import most of our food. So in terms of making life even that more meaningful, having food in sufficient quantities, because our situation in Trinidad and the Caribbean is such that we can easily, or we are already in a serious situation, because we are so much dependent on imported food. So for life to have that greater significance, and having a fundamental need as being secure in terms of food production is another critical area. So on whatever front you need to examine that question, whether it's an economic front, the psychological, the social, the political, whatever front, you need to examine that question. Ensure that you are very clear in your mind, and ensure that you are giving 100% plus every time, so that life could really have the kind of significance. Because all of us certainly would like to leave, or should like to leave, a legacy for our families, for our communities, and for the world. But for that to happen, you need to be very clear in your mental space what life means to you. You've got to act on purpose, you've got to live on purpose, and you've got to make yourself, those around you, and the world a stronger place. So answer that question, what does life mean to you? And as I said in the beginning, do something for something to happen. Everything certainly would not be all right with so many people who are hungry in the world, with so many people who are unemployed in the world. So certainly there's a heavy responsibility on all of us to make things better. And we should certainly do better. Answer the question, what does life mean to you? Life is a gift, live it well, and remember, I remind you once again, that we are available to serve you through our company, Motivational Speaking International, where we offer services and workshops in leadership, in conflict resolution, communication skills, psychology, etc. We are available to do coaching sessions, and I remind you once again of the research projects that will be started in 2022, looking at the psychological impact on the retrenched pedestrian workers and the economic impact on those workers. We also remind you to support the work of our channel, and you can easily contribute by doing it via the white page link on the description page. Remember, we can also be contacted at 1-868-778-5141, 1-868-779-2544, or we can be emailed at leadershipwithadifference@gmail.com. What is life? Caleb Sonia and Shadow asked that question. I have asked you it tonight. Come with that answer and make it better for one another. Thank you, and stay tuned for another presentation next week. Bye.